Do I know you?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Returning characters, flash forwards, and dead bodies. This mess known as Riverdale Season 3 has come to an end, so let's find out just what happened. Oh lordy, 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 you lovely people. Lisa here, and I am still honestly trying to process what the heck I actually just watched with this Riverdale Season 3 finale. I'm not gonna lie, we've been through a lot this season, and if this episode had maybe been the first one of the season, and maybe if I hadn't watched all the rest that have been leading up to it, I kind of would have been satisfied. It would have been an entertaining episode. But seeing as what we've all been through together to get to this point, some of it had me scratching my head like, wait, did they just like write this yesterday to try to get out of this storyline? But you know that this show will have me tuning in for season 4 no matter what. Now all season long we've had the Griffins and Gargoyles madness, this Gargoyle King, the Black Hood, and then these reveals of false versions, and it's like, who on earth is really responsible? Plus we have Edgar Evernever and his farm moving to town, brainwashing people, ultimately recruiting idiots to brainwash and take their organs to sell them. And while some of these mysteries are wrapped up, while others are definitely going to bleed into season 4. But we also open another mystery for season 4 at the end of this episode. But thank the Lord we do get our answer to the Gargoyle King drama within the first 10 minutes, so I am thankful they didn't drag that out until the end of the episode. I know I don't always do it, but this time I'm going to give you the really quick summary of the main points we learned in this episode for those of you who are just like, I gotta be done with the show, I can't watch you ramble about it for 20-something minutes. The Black Hood is Hal, of course. The Gargoyle King isn't Jason Blossom, but is Chick. Yes, a lot of you guessed that Chick was this Gargoyle King, and now it is in fact him, and he has red hair and has been taken in by Penelope Blossom, who calls him Jason. And well, Penelope is actually the ringleader of this trio, and they are responsible for pretty much all the murders and bad shit that's happening the past 3 seasons of this show. Now Penelope makes the core 4 play her live version of Griffins and Gargoyles for basically their lives, and we end up with Chick in jail, Hal dead courtesy of Penelope, and of course in true Riverdale fashion, Penelope has escaped, because you can never just give us a solid ending to a storyline. You can't just kill them all off, send them all away, you gotta leave it open-ended, unfortunately. As far as the farm goes, Cheryl and Juniper escape thanks to the help of Alice, but when everyone gets to the farm to rescue Alice, Kevin's been left behind to tell the group that everyone else has ascended, so Alice, Polly, and Fangs are gone and missing. Then we have Hermione getting arrested because Hiram is still running the game from jail. He's also planted a bunch of evidence in his mission to take down Veronica. Cheryl, she's been reunited with Jason Blossom, and well, it's Jason Blossom's dead body. The farm was actually using Jason Blossom's dead body to convince Cheryl to be a part of it, and well, Cheryl ends up taking that dead body home as a souvenir for herself. And at last, why did Alice help Cheryl break out of the farm? Well, we learned that Alice has been working with the FBI this whole time to take down the farm. She's not just been working with the FBI, but with her secret agent son. That's right, the real Chick, Charles Cooper, Charles Smith, whatever you want to call him, has finally appeared, aka Betty and Jughead's half-brother. And then we end with a flash forward to spring break of senior year that makes us think Jughead could be dead, or at least in grave danger. And well, that's kind of your short summary, and if you listen to that and are like, how the hell did this show even get to those points and those reveals? Well, now it's time to dive a little deeper. First, the kind of less dramatic drama we have going on when it comes to the lodges. The episode begins with happy news for Hermione and Veronica, as they now own all of the lodge investment properties, the Pembroke and everything, now that Hiram is in jail. So you think their life is going to be fine, right? We got them happy, they're owning their stuff, Hiram's in jail. Yeah, it's not going to stay happy, but they do a nice thing for Archie. They give him the Jim Foley, and he shares this good news with Mary, who's honestly more concerned about Archie's love life with Veronica than all the stupid shit he's getting himself into. But then we have Hermione later upset on the phone with her lawyer when Veronica comes home, and all of a sudden the FBI barge in to arrest Hermione for conspiracy to murder Hiram. And Hermione just tells Veronica as she's getting pulled away to call their lawyer. We then see that Hiram is at his own detention center or prison, which is honestly like the dumbest thing. Who was prosecuting this guy? Or like, who arrested him and thought in their right mind, let's put this rich manipulative dude in his own freaking prison in the same town. Can't you send him away, far away? Because you know he has special manipulative powers, and what he wants, he's going to get, and he actually does, obviously. Hiram is the one who got the FBI to arrest Hermione, and the guard also tells Hiram that the necessary evidence has been planted.
Veronica, you don't even know what's coming me out.
And yes, unfortunately, the reign of Hiram is something I don't think we're ever going to get rid of. He can torture people from afar. He tortured them in season 1. He wasn't even on the show. He tortured them in season 2 and 3, and here we go into season 4. Like, we put to rest Hiram versus Archie. We put to rest, it seems like, Hiram versus Hermione, and now we have Hiram versus Veronica, which we did get a taste of this season, but it seems like it's going to go full out in season 4, and I'm kind of not too happy about that. I was kind of like, I like Hiram, I like Mark Consuelos, but I'm over that storyline. And that could just be me, I don't know. But next up, let's talk about the farm. So Tony escaped last episode thanks to Cheryl, and she makes her way to Thistle House, and Penelope just happens to be there collecting her mail, and Tony spills about the harvesting of organs and how they need to save Cheryl and Alice, and Penelope is very interested, but also this seems to work into her plans that she has, and she spiked Tony's drink to knock her out. Penelope then marches straight over the farm, and I think this is the only time on the show I will ever say thank you to Penelope, because her timing actually helps save Betty from having Edgar give her a lobotomy or crack into that really pretty skull of hers. So cherish it, Penelope. Cherish this one thank you. Penelope lets Edgar know she knows exactly what goes on there, but she actually doesn't care. She's more interested in buying some organs in bulk. Like, what on earth does that mean? I thought she was actually going to ask for Juniper, maybe, but no, she in fact wants organs, as in Betty's organs. But don't worry, she's not just buying Betty's organs, she's buying Betty's freedom, because Penelope needs Betty alive for her own game, but more on that in a little bit. We gotta go back to this farm drama. So Penelope's visit is the last straw for Edgar, who is like, we gotta move up Ascension Night, too many people are figuring out what's going on here, we're really under the gun, we gotta prepare everybody. But Alice is frantically looking for Betty and is worried, which seems a bit odd since Alice this whole season has seemed to care nothing about Betty's real well-being. Evelyn then tells Alice that Betty escaped with Tony and they'll have to ascend without her. And Cheryl's also eavesdropping here, so she makes a last-ditch effort to convince Kevin and Fangs of what's going on, but of course she tries to give them proof, but all the organs have magically been moved out of the freezer, so Cheryl does not have any concrete proof. She then goes looking through the farm to find proof and stumbles into that room, and we see Cheryl be like, "Who's there?" And she starts screaming. And at this time, Alice has gone to Edgar's office again to be like, I can't get in touch with Betty. And she also says that she's been hearing rumors about the harvesting of organs. And well, Edgar starts to say, you know, he doesn't know anything about Betty, but what she's heard about, you know, he hasn't been truthful about the farm and what they do. But before he really spills to Alice, Cheryl comes barging in.
Why would you do such a thing to my own brother?
You had a void.
You see, Edgar's the one who stole Jason's dead body to make Cheryl believe she was, well, talking to Jason. And, well, Edgar has them lock up Cheryl and they speed up their ascension process once again. So yeah, if we found Jason's body here, then how could Jason be the Gargoyle King, right? Like, we have evidence now, concrete evidence, he's dead. So what's with this Gargoyle King thing? Well, more on that in a bit, even though I already said it at the top of the show. Cheryl is now locked up and doesn't really know what she should be doing, and all of a sudden Alice comes busting into the room with baby Juniper, you know, the last people she thought she would see. And well, Alice ends up leading Cheryl to the tunnel that leads into the forest that was actually reopened by Edgar when he bought the place. And well, we're kind of still sitting here like, why is Alice doing all this? What on earth has snapped in her to make her back to the old Alice we had? And well, Cheryl and Juniper escape while Alice stays behind to try to get Polly. Now by this time, Nana Rose, thank God for Nana Rose, has woken up Tony and has told her that her friends are in danger and are playing a dangerous game with Penelope, and those friends meaning our core four. But all Tony really cares about is rescuing Cheryl. So she gets on that bat phone and gathers the serpents and pretty poisons, and just as they're about to take off for the farm, Cheryl and Juniper come running up and they fill Tony in on everything, and then Nana fills Cheryl in on Penelope's twisted game that Penelope's been preparing for months. So off the serpents and pretty poisons ride to save the day. But Nana Rose, here's the thing, you were doing good up until this point. Sometimes you're the hero, and sometimes It's like, I gotta slap you in the face because you are still a Blossom and you're kind of evil, right? Nana Rose knew Penelope's been planning this evil thing that we're about to talk about for weeks, possibly a month or two. It's like, bad Nana, no dessert for you for a week. Why did you not warn anybody before this about this evil game? Are you that scared of your own daughter? Penelope is pretty evil, but I feel like Cheryl almost killed Penelope at one point. She's not that scary. But now, we gotta move on to this evil game of Penelope's. So last we left off, Ethel told Jughead the Gargoyle King was Jason Blossom, and Jughead is still not buying this even though Jason's body's missing from the casket. Now, we obviously know where that is, but he does not. Now, some of you commented on last week's recap that Jughead said in season 1 they buried an empty casket, which is true, but that was before Jason's body was ever found, so they definitely reburied a casket with his body in it since then, and so that's why he knows this body was missing. Now, Jughead and FP vow to find out who this Gargoyle King is, whether they believe it's Jason or not. Jughead just has this hunch that they need to go back to the Maple Club to figure this out, so they go back there and talk to one of the women, and they show her Kurt's picture and is like, has he been around? And this woman says that, yeah, Kurt's did all his business with Penelope, and also reveals that Penelope's son Jason was seen around the place. So now Jughead's really scratching his head and is tripping over this whole Jason situation. Then Veronica, Archie, and Jughead all receive invitations for something where they obviously can't say a word or bring their phones, and they think it's a trap, but they have no choice but to agree. We then see Betty wake up. She's been rescued from the farm. She finds an invitation for herself and an outfit and is told to go downstairs. And when she does, she realizes she's at the Blossom Hunting Lodge on the grounds of Thornhill, and waiting for her at this grand dinner table are Archie, Veronica, Jughead, and Penelope. Like I mentioned earlier, Penelope bought Betty's freedom, and we learn that Sister Woodhouse is still alive and working for Penelope because she was actually the one who was Penelope's mentor at the Sisters of Quiet Mercy and taught Penelope all about poisons. And Sister Woodhouse is the one who poisoned all the nuns. We then have the Black Hood and the Gargoyle King walk in as the final guests of honor, and of course they are told to demask themselves, and the Black Hood is, yes, Hal Cooper, because if they had revealed anybody else, we probably would have thrown our TVs out the window and given up on this show. Actually, maybe for good this time. Now, before the Gargoyle King can remove his mask, Penelope lets Jughead make his final guesses, which result in, of course, more quotes from him, and ultimately leads to the answer being Chick. And yes, Chick is under that mask, and he now has red hair. You see, Hal never killed Chick because he saw kinship in Chick and spared his life, so then Chick pledged his life to Hal and Hal's mission. And of course, Penelope was also in Hal's ear to have him help her with her mission, and so when Hal went to jail, Chick kind of fell under Penelope's wing, and Penelope pretty much creepily turned him into her son Jason. And well, these three carried out their plan of trying to rid Riverdale of all the sinners. That's because no one bothered to help Penelope when she reached out for help as a child, and so she's really got a chip on her shoulder. And well, now she's planned one final Griffins and Gargoyles game for the children of the Midnight Club to prove that they're pretty much just as dark as the town that they came from. And if they lose, their parents are going to feel Penelope's pain, the death of a child. So she leads these four into the woods, and they have to survive the night and do their quests or they'll be killed. So they head off into the forest, and the first quest is for Archie, who must conquer a grizzled beast. And this time it's not a bear, it's a giant muscular man who looks and growls like a bear. And honestly, if there's one thing Archie is good at, it's getting his ass beat, thrown around like a rag doll, and somehow managing to pull off a miracle and survive in the final seconds and win, which he yet again does in this battle. And when the beast is conquered, it's Veronica the Enchantress's quest, which is Fate and Fortune. There are 6 chalices and one has poison, and she must choose her closest accomplice so that they can spin a bottle, take turns playing basically Russian roulette of drinking poison. Betty volunteers to be that accomplice, and the two start drinking, and Betty is left with the final cup, which they all think has the poison in it. We then see Veronica stop Betty from drinking it and take one for the team and drink that cup too. Now Penelope shows up and is like, well, you actually passed this test. It was more of a character test. So they're all kind of like, okay, there was no poison in any of these cups. And Penelope's like, nah, guess what, you idiots. All the chalices were actually poison, but this time with slow-acting poison, so they have to complete all these quests in time to get the antidote and hopefully survive. We get our Varchie moment for those of you who think, like Mary Andrews, that Varchie is Endgame. Archie pulls Veronica aside after getting his ass beat to tell her that he loves her, and she says nothing actually happened with Reggie because she loves Archie too, and they kiss. Next up is Jughead's quest, which is called the Battle of the Kings, meaning there can only be one king in town, and yes, that means he's facing off with the one and only Gargoyle King, Chick Cooper. And well, or just Chick, what do we call him now? Chick. And just when you think Chick's gonna win this fight, Jughead pulls an Archie, grabs a hold of a horn or a skull or something, and knocks out Chick. And well, they move on to Betty's final quest. As expected, it's a duel with her dad, the Black Hood. And an old kind of duel, you know, with guns and one bullet each. Now she has to use her gun and one bullet to shoot him before he shoots her. And he gives her to the count of 3 in order to shoot him and get the antidote. Well, Betty does shoot him, but doesn't kill him, and Archie does manage to grab this antidote. But out walks Penelope and her gargoyle goons, and she's of course not happy and calls Hal a failure and decides to finish what Betty started and shoots Hal in the head. So bye-bye Hal, and this time I thank the Lord think it is for good. Now Penelope though is not happy that these 4 managed to actually win her game, so she tells her goons to kill the 4 anyway. So off they go running with the gargoyles after them, and they end up being saved by Cheryl and her merry gang of archers as the Serpents and Pretty Poisons and Tony take on these gargoyles. You know, the amount of people in Riverdale who have killed or severely hurt someone before the age of like 18, it's just nuts. Everybody in this town, I feel like, has the serial killer gene at this point. Like, I don't think there's anybody in town who does not have blood on their hands in one way or another, except maybe, you know, Hot Dog, but he's not a person. Maybe Pop? No, Pops did shoot FP. At this point, I don't even know. But we have the core 4 praising the Lord that they are alive and for the most part unharmed, and they take that antidote as Tony and Cheryl and their gang save their asses. Now this actually wasn't surprising to me because the pictures they released before this episode even came out had the 4, you know, sharing milkshakes in a happy little scene and then hugging, and you definitely kind of knew that they were going to survive this ordeal. This show would not, you know, they'd mess up a lot of things, but I don't think that they would kill any of the core 4, at least not yet. But now Betty is like, thank you Cheryl, but how on earth did you get out here? And Cheryl says Alice helped her, so they run off to the farm to try to stop Ascension Night. They end up finding Kevin sitting in a scene from The Leftovers or Left Behind where he's the lone man who wasn't worthy enough to ascend and was told he had to stay behind to tell the others what happened. How on earth? They must have blindfolded him and just been like, this kid is dumb, let's leave these clothes and get the hell out of here. And well, Kevin fell for it. So everyone has ascended and is gone, meaning Alice, Polly, Edgar, Evelyn, I think Fangs as well, and the rest of them, they've all gotten the hell out of Dodge to move on to their next city. So now it seems like the town is getting back to normal since Hal is dead, Chick is in jail, but of course Penelope has managed to slip away because the show can't let us have nice things. They can't just wrap up this stupid serial killer, whatever murder thing we've had for 3 seasons and just let it be done. They had to leave one of these people with a dumb loophole, so Penelope will probably be back to ruin our lives. And we also find out that they keep making Cheryl weirder and more unstable as she has kept Jason's body and hid it so that she can talk to him and be with him. And it's like, doesn't that thing just look gross and smell? Could be embalmed, but that's still the flesh and it's still disgusting, and I do not like that they keep doing Cheryl like this. Like, can you just let this girl be happy? Let this girl get mentally stable, get her life together, and get over her brother. I know that losing a sibling, I mean, I don't personally know, but losing a sibling has to be horrible. But 3 seasons of this girl going through the torture of her brother, and you just keep bringing back something, and now she's talking to a dead body, and that's definitely, hopefully gonna creep out Tony if she finds out. I don't like this whole move. This is the one that I'm like, this is what we're doing. We're jumping the shark with her talking to a dead body now. Let her heal, let her move on, and be happy. Like we have Archie in this episode, who at the end decides that he and Mad Dog are gonna work together to turn their gym into a community center to help get kids off the street. Because apparently we just have a lot of kids on the street in Riverdale. Then we find out why Alice all of a sudden went from, I'm a brainwashed person who hates my daughter and she's a burden, and into like, I'm gonna help my niece and everybody escape and whatever. So what caused this switch to be turned? Well, we have the FBI coming knocking on Jughead's door looking for Betty, and we meet Agent Smith, and already your ears should kind of be like, wait a second. Agent Smith? Well, as we continue, we learn that the FBI has been trying to take down Edgar for a while and almost had him 2 towns ago, so right now the FBI sucks. This time they had someone on the inside, and well, they were waiting for that person to give them the signal, but she never did. And that someone on the inside actually was Alice, and the FBI knows all about this organ harvesting and everything. So now they got to set up shop in Riverdale to try to figure out where Alice and Edgar and the rest of the farm went. And you know, Agent Smith is like, he knows that Betty and Jughead are good detectives and he wants their help, but right now Betty's just staring at this kid like, do I know you from somewhere? And we end up learning that Agent Smith is in fact Charles Smith, as in Alice and FP's son, or Betty and Jughead's half-brother. Then we have our core 4 at Pops, obviously explaining this weird brother situation, drinking milkshakes, and making a vow to enjoy their senior year, as it may be the last time that they're all together and they don't want anything to ruin it. Well, it looks like maybe they should have decided to ditch Riverdale for their senior year and head off with Josie to New York or something, because their senior year is not going to be without bloody drama, as we flash forward to spring break of senior year, where we have Veronica, Betty, and Archie covered in blood standing in their underwear, with Archie clenching Jughead's beanie and the others telling him he needs to burn the beanie, burn their clothes, and then they're going to wash themselves and never speak of this night again, and then finish their senior year, go their separate ways so that they can't get caught. Yeah, this sounds like every slasher movie. It's like I Know What You Did Last Summer, all of that with the kids making a pact to, you know, go separate ways and not talking about an unspeakable thing. Well, we do have Archie throw Jughead's beanie into the fire, and then we go back to the present where the core 4 are happy with each other drinking their milkshakes for now. And, well, that wraps up the finale for season 3. Edgar and the farm are on the move, Charles Smith is in town, and in the comics, Charles, aka Chick, was a secret agent, so this definitely makes sense. But do we fully trust this guy? Because we don't trust anybody in this town of Riverdale. Alice kept saying she was talking to Chick at the farm, or Charles, I should say, at the farm as her person, you know, which makes sense if Alice was playing along with the hallucinations, but who would have been dressed up as Chick? How did Alice even find Charles in the first place? Like, why didn't Alice give word sooner if she knew everything was going on? There's a lot of questions, and I feel like Charles may not actually be who he seems. Maybe he's got a part in the farm, right? Maybe he's there to really take Betty down. I don't know. Could he be working with Edgar, or is he actually who he says he is? Showrunner Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa did a bunch of interviews after this finale and told Entertainment Weekly that season 4 will explore a bit of Betty finding out that she has that serial killer gene, and he says Charles will play a part in that storyline. And we learned that Hal, Alice, and Polly don't have that gene, which means maybe it skipped a few people and or a generation, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't come from Alice's gene, so maybe Charles also somehow has this serial killer gene, right? Gotta bring up, you know, the darkness again, but having Charles around is definitely gonna make things interesting and awkward, probably for Betty and Jughead, because we know while these two, Betty and Jughead, are not related by blood, they still share this sibling in Charles, and now we have to kind of wonder how FP will respond to that, and how did Alice even find Charles in the first place? We also still don't understand the damn floating babies. That must have been a hallucination from drugs. But yeah, with Penelope also on the loose, she's got to be back. What else in this episode? I like that Smithers is Veronica's guardian for now. I've always kind of liked Smithers. He's like the equivalent of Nana Rose, I think, so maybe he'll be around more. And also, with the whole Alice situation, I saw a lot of tweets about people being like, oh, y'all were calling Alice the worst this season, and aha, you're clowns because she's working for the FBI this whole time. Part of me is sitting here like, this sort of feels like they just made this up last episode, or like the week before this finale, that they filmed it, that we're gonna make Alice be a hero, and she's actually been undercover this whole time. Now, Mae Chinomic, I think she's a great actress, and she played Alice fantastically this whole season, but just the arc of Alice, like, I'm not buying that Alice was undercover. I don't know. It just seems like a lot, because we know Alice loved Betty. Would she really go to those extreme lengths to make her daughter hate her that much? Like, we must not be seeing the footage of Alice at night crying in her room at the farm, because this had to have taken a toll on her with how protective she is of Betty. Or maybe that means it makes sense. I don't know, but just how Alice treated Betty this whole season, I just am not that quick to just turn around and forgive her. Now, as far as this flash forward in Jughead's fate, Roberto said that this scene was a kind of a way of tying the core four to a central mystery that we'll have in season 4, so that they're not splitting off again like we had this season with Jughead and Betty doing their own thing and Veronica and Archie off somewhere else, and people were really missing seeing those 4 together. So now we kind of are tied to know that we have them at some point reaching this point together as the core 4. Now with Jughead, is he dead? Is he not dead? Roberto, of course, would not spill, but I don't think he is dead, even though I feel like we've had multiple cliffhangers where we think Jughead is dead. Jughead could possibly just be off doing the dirty work, like hiding a body or, you know, getting rid of some other kind of evidence, and the other 3 are left to get rid of the clothes and all the other stuff they gotta burn, and maybe Jughead's hat has blood on it. They can't save it, they've got to burn it. But it's kind of like, are they being blackmailed? Is it something else? Is it the return of Penelope? Is it Hiram becoming some masterful villain that has these kids killing and covering it up, or whatever this flash forward is? I don't know. Right now my brain is just hurting from the runaround of season 3 that I don't know if I can really form any good theories about season 4. Here's what I do want for season 4. I want them to let Cheryl heal. Get over her brother. Be happy with Tony. I want Kevin to snap out of this annoying mood that he's been in with his brainwashing and reunite with Moose, or be happy with Fangs. Give him some better material and storyline to work with. Stop screwing over Betty. The core 4, I want them to stop finding themselves in these horrible murderous situations and getting into more trouble. Just go to freaking school, take your SATs, go your separate ways to college, go to class. Can we just, like, somehow, part of me just wants them to get rid of the dark side of this show, even though I know that's how it started, that's how it was pitched as, but like, you can still leave a little darkness, a little mystery, but do we really have to keep doing the same thing over and over? I don't know, guys. I need to hear what you have to say about this finale. What do you think about the reveal of Penelope? What do you think do you think she's gonna come back? And what do you think about the arrival of Charles Smith? Is he a good guy? Is he not? What are Hiram's plans for Veronica? What do you think about this flash forward? Is Jughead just off getting rid of some other kind of like evidence, or is he dead? Let me know. And then after that, you can check out more of my videos right over here, and don't forget to subscribe so we can keep ranting and love hating Riverdale together. And thank you for hanging out with me in season 3. Here's to season 4. I hope this made sense, because right now I don't think I'm making any sense, but thanks for bearing with me. I'll see you guys again real soon.